yeah, they're so exciting. So yeah, Sandor, not dead. Sandor with the elder brother, definitely on the quiet isle, hanging out with the god bros. Yeah, sobering up, petting a dog in that Brienne chapter with his lame leg where he got all... Anonymous asks, what do you think of the theory that Sandor's alive in the monastery and will be the champion who has to fight not Gregor? If that happens, where do you see Sandor going from there? Win, lose, redemption, etc. This theory for me is very much a duh theory. This is what's happening. Sandor is not dead. Not even a little. Okay, he's a little dead. He's been a little dead inside since before this series started. Let's be real. But yeah, basically that whole chapter with Brienne, which by the way, I was going to be really cool and I was going to read that section to you, but my Nook, when I picked it up, was like, oh, your Nook, it's powered itself off to conserve power, and I was like, Nook, that's really nice of you. That is a cool trick that you do. Thank you for conserving power. Anyway, basically what it says is that my Nook is a stupid liar and it needs to be charged. So pretend that I read that to you. I didn't read it to you, obviously. But basically what goes down is Brienne's hanging out on this island, paddling around with a dog. That's important, because the hound. Hanging out on the island, runs into this guy who's like, oh, BT dubs. Sandor Clegane. Definitely not a thing that you should worry about or think about or anything. And he says that the hound is dead. But then immediately, as if incredibly high, is like, I was dead one time, and begins to tell an elaborate tale about how he used to be a knight, and he used to murder stuff a lot, and he was dead on the inside, but now God and stuff. Gods and stuff. Brienne, because she is the sweetest of summer children, doesn't think that that's weird. She just sort of politely listens to this guy for a really long time, even though Brienne doesn't actually give a shit. Brienne's tired at this point, honestly, and wouldn't we all be? I know I was tired. I was exhausted. I was a little tired of Brienne. Because it was like, oh, honor, chivalry, you're so nice. Nah. They cut off Ned Stark's head like a long time ago. Okay? There are no true knights. In life, the monsters win. Stop having faith in things, Brienne. It stresses me out. Stop it. So then after she pretends to listen to this guy and pretends to care, and essentially it's like an old guy telling you a story at the bus stop, and you're just kind of like, yeah, oh, yes, there, that kind of conversation. Brienne's like, so, yeah, Sandor Clegane. Toad's dead. And this guy's just like, he is at rest. To which Brienne is just like, cool. As a reader, you're supposed to be smarter than Brienne. A lot of people aren't, and that's fine. So first and foremost, right out of the gate, and everyone who is watching this, to accept the fact that Sandor Clegane is not dead. He is very much alive. He is with the elder brother. Nothing the elder brother says implies that Sandor Clegane is actually dead. It implies that the hound is dead. The person he created to deal with the intense trauma of what happened to him in his childhood, the intense trauma of immediately being handed over to Lannisters. It was the only option he had. So really, at the age of like 11 or 12, he becomes the hound. He's something that is loyal and plotting and subhuman. Really, his only job is to be obedient, and that's why he's called the Hound. The Hound kills, not Sandor Clegane. Sandor Clegane, actually, I think maybe we've met him a couple of times, and I think the only times that we've met Sandor and not the Hound have been when he was with Sansa, which is why it's important, and it's literally relevant. Whether you ship it or not, it is a thing, and it is in canon, and read better. And we meet him when he's there at the Trident dying, even though he's not dead. Side note, it doesn't necessarily come into play inside this bit of meta that I'm doing right now, but I think it's important for us to think about the fact that he does die by the trident. He dies by the water side, and throughout A Song of Ice and Fire, there's a lot of connection to water being the sort of thing that carries you into the afterlife in a lot of different ways. We know that the Tullys, they return to the river when they die. And with the Ironborn, their whole thing with the drowned god, you have to be drowned before you're really a man, or kind of saved, I guess is the closest thing we'd have to equate it to anything in the religion that we have in our actual, real, tangible world. You have to be drowned, you have to go through the water, and then with their saying that which is dead can never die. So I think it's really important, and it's really significant that he dies by the water side. Water matters. Water matters. Will Sandor be the champion that has to fight, not Gregor? Not Gregor, for those of you who have been reading the books, while also being on Tumblr, knowing about me, and, somehow you haven't dealt with not Gregor. Not Gregor is Robert Strong, the champion that carries Cersei like a little baby back into a castle after she has her naked time walk. He is Gregor's body with not a face, because Gregor's head is elsewhere. And that actually ties into the dream that Bran has, the first Bran chapter we get after he's fallen, when he's like kind of falling in a dream, and he talks about Arya and Sansa, and he sees, two figures. One is, something all golden and shiny, and one is very obviously the Hound, and then there's one with like a weird, like he doesn't have a face, it's just like darkness and blackness and scary. It's a great synopsis. SparkNotes is probably going to hire me anytime now. But yes, that is not Gregor. Robert Strong is not Gregor. Qyburn probably did some very, very bad things with his body. But yes, do I think that Sandor will fight not Gregor? I think definitely. I really do. Obviously, George R.R. Martin, which I will, when we're looking at JRRM, I will pronounce that as grim, because that's fitting. Because it is really grim. These books are morbid, and they give me a sad. Yes. He can do whatever he wants. He's writing the books. And there are a couple of theories that I've seen where I've gone, oh, that's interesting, and you, in fact, pulled things from the books. And I'm very proud of you. But why? Is sort of how I feel about that. This entire story has, really bound the connection of the brothers, and their sigil is obviously very important. The Clegane sigil is the yellow field with the 3 dogs. Later there is the shield when he's, fighting with the fire, and like Sandor has a lot of feelings and he cries because he's scared of fire, and I cry because I just want to hold Sandor and like stroke his hair and just be like, shh, because that's my reaction to a 6 foot 1,000, 8 foot 1.5 tall man who kills people a lot and is an alcoholic. That's how I respond to that. Dating's fun. But something happens on the shield. Go back, read that. But the sigil, that's all I'm going to say, because there's a lot of investigating you can do, and like could be another video. I could talk about this all day. But the sigil is important. What happens to those 3 dogs is important and is symbolic. And that alone is enough for me to think that, it's going to come back to these 2 brothers. It's been mentioned throughout the story, and then everything that we see happen to the Clegane sigil comes up a lot. Super, super important. He's going to have to fight Gregor, because it's sort of the only thing he allows himself to feel before he feels anything for Sansa. And by extension, Arya, which is so cute in like a I want to die sort of way. But the only thing he really feels is disgust for Gregor and fear from Gregor, and he's still very much a little boy when he looks at Gregor, but he still defends him, defends Loras, who he has every reason to hate and despise Loras. Loras is everything that Sandor will never be, because his brother made him ugly, and his brother made him bitter. And the Cleganes, too. Probably, they're really the poor house of the houses, So he could never be that. He has every reason to hate him, but he defends him anyway. He knows Gregor is bad, and he wants to do good, and Sandor really and truly kind of does all of these things that a true knight does while saying he isn't a knight, because it was given to his brother who undoubtedly killed his mother and his sister.